Thank y'all, everybody, for tuning in to another episode of the Owner's Manual. KB, thank you for tuning in, and shouts outs to the whole HBK crew going crazy out there. 2025's favorite YNs, but I want to say on this episode, I am joined with the multifaceted artist Thermo Flame here. How we doing today?
Doing good today.
And typically, I like to go down memory lane on the first bit of the podcast and tell us a story about how we met, but I honestly don't remember.
That's funny because I don't really remember too well either.
I think at one moment, it was just at an event. It might have been low-key like at a Mile High Club event.
Yeah,
was it movie night? Was it a movie night?
I don't think it was. I think we personally met at Comfort Zone, maybe.
Yeah, it might have been like I always try to figure out like who it was through. Like I didn't know it was either through like Mike or Tati or something.
It was definitely Mike because Mike was doing the events at the Comfort Zone at that point. So yeah, I think it was in, and you was DJing those events, So
definitely, 2023, fun time, man.
That was 2023. Wow.
Yeah, a couple of years have passed, but in the sense of the jump, since then, in the middle of that, this is actually the second go. There is the lost files of the first episode, but niggas got too high.
Crazy
times.
times.
I tried to fight the Shroom T, but the Shroom T whooped my ass. It put me in the full Nelson. That shit.
Hilarious.
This shit knocked me out.
You know.
And man, you still be on that or?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, speaking of, my last trip was 9 grams.
God damn.
And I laughed for 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was a laughing purge. Did
it hurt?
Puked a couple times.
Ooh, it hurt.
It didn't hurt. It was it felt ridiculous after a while, bro.
Uh-huh.
It was like why? Like I just couldn't stop laughing. Like I calm down a little bit. Think it's gone. Think it's done. Like, all right, cool, it's gone. And it just come out of nowhere, and it's nothing to be funny, and I just start laughing all over again. And that shit continued for, on and off for, 3 hours, bro.
On and off for 3 hours.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was great, though, because after that, it taught me to laugh more. It taught me that, more things are funny. I think, we suppress, a lot, and we don't express ourselves enough.
Yeah.
And I think that just broke something to because now shit is funny, hilarious. Like things that may have been a little bit funny before, it's
a lot funny now.
Yeah, it's gut busting funny, for real.
So what's one thing that wasn't that funny that now is fucking hilarious to you?
Everything.
Yeah,
no, for real. It's just the things that, normally maybe a little bit funny. Now it's just, definitely a lot more, definitely a lot more funny. And it's just a healing feeling that comes, because
1000%.
Laughter is healing.
The best medicine.
So it's definitely, it was definitely a good teacher that time,
Before we get into it, can you light up that right there?
Oh yeah, for sure.
One of them ones
definitely do the honors.
Please do. I haven't smoked flower all day. Cap, I definitely have, but I haven't smoked anything rolled up.
You ain't smoked all day?
All day. It be some lazy Sundays, but
saying it we just can't go without smoking.
That's the thing. It's so therapeutic, and there's so many different modes. Smoking got a lot of definitions, and it's like when I'm at the crib, I don't even really view it as like I'm smoking weed because I be clean, smoke, listen to music, smoke, go to bed, smoke, eat. Right. So it's so therapeutic. It ain't an activity, it's just more of it's a dosing, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And it's rarely a social sit down, intimate thing that I'm sober myself. So it's either I'm in it's 5 heads max, AKA I got something rolled up, somebody else got something rolled up. You know what I'm saying? So, but when you shop, what do you look for in some good bud?
Well, the characteristics I look for is smell, texture, and I mean, obviously taste, but you can't get to taste until you smoke it first. But I really go for texture. Like I like sticky. I like
Yeah.
sticky, sticky. And it don't necessarily have to be hard. Like I don't like that super hard, dense.
Right.
Weed. I like it to, have a nice little fluff to it. I like it to be sticky for sure. The texture, and I like gassy, more gassy weed.
Mm-hmm.
So I like a nice strong, pungent smell.
When
A
you,
lot of people go for percentages or
yeah,
you know other other shit like that. I like freshness too. Like a lot of people don't go to the dispo and say when was they don't pay attention to when it was harvested. They don't pay attention to how long it's been sitting on the shelf. They just be like, all right, what's the cheapest you got? What's the highest percentage you got?
right.
Like that shit don't matter, bro. Like
That part.
what's the freshest bud you got in?
Mm-hmm.
Who grew it? Like because obviously some operations just run better than others. Like some of these companies grow really good flour. You know what I'm saying? So
When you said harvest date, how long it been on the shelf for? Where'd you go to get that? Was the homie or was that at the shop?
excuse me, this King of Bud,
KLB.
Detroit. Yeah, King
What
of Bud's Detroit.
like the grower where like who grew it?
Um, oh shit. This I don't think this was Society's. Let's say Apex Regional Farms,
Mm. What's the
Apex Cannabis Company.
you got the harvest date on it?
This was harvested in February,
Okay.
so
Not bad.
February 11th.
Yeah.
Pretty fresh.
I take that.
Yeah.
I do fuck with KLB too. Good opportunity. Hey, if you want to get some raised lemonade, they are available at KLB, Ferndale, Roseville, Detroit, New Buffalo. Chris, we got to get a new order in on that Monroe store, but it's coming. But that's dope though. But also you got like a network. I feel like of people that be pun intended, but in the field of their own.
Yeah. Well,
You know what I'm saying? So how often do you go to the homie compared to going to the store?
pretty probably go to the more recently. I probably go to the homie a little more recently.
Mm-hmm.
Than, a little more. Yeah, probably the homie a little more recently than the dispo. But I've been doing my best to kind of pop in the dispo just to see what's going on. A few of them, let's see what's that one. Went to the Hive.
Is the park?
Yeah, and they grow all their own flour, so they only sell like in house what they grow, and they shit is like primo for real though. Yeah, that was good. And then I popped in King Buzz. That was like my second time. So like I just recently went for my first time not too long ago. Then one of my homies worked there. My dog, shout out to my dog Stack Doe. He the one that
Mm-hmm.
Well, he was like, I can't go wrong with the Blue Run. So
Right.
yeah.
Is it important to have a homie inside to directing you to the fresh shit?
Yeah, definitely because like not to say all bud tenders are the same, but I know a lot of them just are trying to upsell.
Yeah.
And I know I get it. That's your job. Get to run the ticket up, but I want to know what's smoking the best. Don't just don't just try to sell me what's on the highest shelf. You know what I'm saying?
Got you.
That's cool too, but work with me.
Mm-hmm. And I had the pleasure. I want to say thank you for the pleasure of inviting me to the studio. So I can capture some content of you. But you recently dropped a song. Tell me about that.
So that was Black Girl. It was a song I just low key. So like, I was originally writing another song, and it was a beat that I had heard from a producer, on the internet, Max Anderson, and I'm just writing to this beat, and then when the beat went off, the next beat had came on. When it came on, I was like, oh my god, this beat is amazing, and and I instantly just started with the hook like, "Black girl, no, I love you. Black girl, no, I want." Like it just came to me, you know. So I was like, "All right." Like I instantly stopped working on the other song. Instantly, you know, wrote that. Reached out, you know, to the producer, bought the beat. You know, worked on the song probably, you know, probably about 2 days, and then went to the studio. I was like, I gotta record this. Like, it's ready, you know, it was ready, and I was just excited about it because it was one of those songs where I just knew like everything was right, like it felt good, you know. The way it came together, the way it happened, you know, it wasn't nothing was forced about it. You know what I'm saying? It just was like beautiful. It just all came together. And then, you know, on top of it, the song has no cussing, no swearing, so like it can be played, you know, anywhere. The message is beautiful, you know. So, you know, to all the black women out there, if you listening, Black Girl, go stream it. It's for y'all. I love that record, bro.
What's in store musically for Thermo Flame in 2025?
Well, I'll definitely be looking to drop a project this year. Um, I got a lot of music, you know, creating right now. I'm in a good place, you know, mentally. So creatively, it's just like fun and just kind of easy in a way. Like I said, it's not, you know, nothing's been forced.
Yeah, and, you know, you sense in a good place mentally. Yeah. What does it take to get there? You know, because it ain't easy and it ain't overnight. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes.
Well, you know, for me, a lot of it is being honest with yourself first and foremost. Like you have to know where you are, you know, in your head. So like you have to reflect. You know, I do a lot of reflecting daily. So I, you know, just to make sure I know if I'm getting enough of, you know, what I need, you know, like whether it's sleep, whether it's eating, you know, food. I'm big on my diet. I was plant-based for a few years. Lately, I've been integrating meat back into my diet. So, like, you know, I've just been finding the right balance of how much to eat, when to eat, um, you know, my sleep schedule. You know, I go to school now too, so balancing out school, balancing out work, also balancing out like time for creativity, you know. Um, so I think really it's about balance as well as it, you know, is about anything else. Making sure you just creating the time for the things you need. Like I said, big really rest. Rest is like the big one. You know, we all want to, you know, I sleep when I die. That mentality, you know, that shit is dead. Like you really need to take care of yourself.
Pun intended.
You really need to take care of your mental health. You need to, you know, check in with yourself. Make sure you know where you at.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I medicate also. You know, with psilocybin mushrooms. So like I microdose at times where I do like feel I am, you know, out of balance. So I have low points, you know what I'm saying? So I definitely self medicate, but you know, I've been studying and researching with mushrooms for some years. And, you know, obviously experimenting with them as well. But, in a safe, controlled, you know, environment and, you know, enough to know where my sweet spot is as far as like if I want to like be out and like, you know, if I want to be out in the real world, like if I want to go to work, if I want to just like be doing things like running errands or whatever, like how much is just enough to keep me, you know,
right
where I need to be. I was actually having a conversation about, you know, about it with some people at work, and we was all talking about, you know, how it's good for mental health. And I was saying it's like, you know, the analogy for me is like mushrooms. It's like bringing out the sun on a cloudy day, on a rainy day. You know what I'm saying? It like brightens up, you know, brightens up your mental state in that sense for me. You know?
Right, your experience.
Yeah, my experience. So microdosing is good for my mental health when I
Got
need
you.
it. You know what I'm saying? It'd just be like anybody take antidepressants or some people use marijuana. You know, I mean, we all smoke.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Like certain people will use, the pain wherever it's, emotionally or mentally to write or like get in a place creatively where they feel confident. Because I always say like the 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 most negative like lyrics are like pop music, like that comes from like hip hop. But to be in a good place and create something positive, like you said, like that song don't got no curse words, and the being in a good space like is important, and there's a build up to it. That's
no sexual innuendos, none of that. Like none of that. It's just all positive, uplifting. Just good, wholesome hip hop. Like that's exactly what it is. And for me, like I channel, I channel from all emotions and all aspects of life. So not to say that I don't write when I'm sad or when like I may not write when I'm sad, but I may reflect on those moments and then channel that and then use that to write a song. You know what I'm saying? So that's just how I still use that energy and those emotions, to write. Like, even when angry or upset, same difference, when it comes like I've been writing about love a lot because I've been experiencing just great love in my relationship in my life. So it's been really easy to, channel that and write from that, right from that place.
That's wonderful. So you said too, in the whole aspect of artistry, you be in that producer bag too. So what percentage of like rapper to producer do you find balance in?
I probably like right now I probably say like I'm probably like 70-30 or like 75-25, something like that,
In the sense of
like
75 rapper,
yeah,
25 producer.
yeah,
Okay.
because I definitely like been telling myself that I need to not forget about that aspect of my music. So I definitely need to make sure I'm still making beats, still producing, because I get a check for my for my production. So it's like I need to make sure not only am I adding to that, but I'm also keeping that residual as well. So yeah, I'm definitely going to be looking to up the ante on the production this year as well.
Are you the type to go to the studio and do like everything, look for the beat, purchase the beat right in the studio, or do you like find a beat at the crib, record, and then take those recordings to the studio for mixing? Like, what's your process?
So my process was really like how you seen it the night I invited you. Like I typically have my music, for the most part, is ready to go as far as the recording process. Now, I always reach a point in the recording process where it's like, I didn't, I gotta fill in the blanks. You know what I'm saying? Like that's kind of the best way to put it. So there's always room for expansion or growth at the studio.
Gotcha.
Because like even in the writing process, I never know how it's going to sound until I actually start recording. It's like, okay, I might have to take a word out. It may just feel more natural saying it a certain way, versus like what I have written. So I really never know what the song is going to sound like until you get to that rough mix. You know what I'm saying? That first recording, and then we go from there. But I pay for my time in the studio. Plus, time is valuable anyway. So it's like I use my time for writing. I use my time for constructing. Like that part of the process is still fun to me.
Right.
Like that's the thing about music or anything you do. Is like you have to be in love with the process.
You gotta be in love with the process.
If you don't like writing the song, if you don't like looking for beats, if you don't like making beats, producing, if you don't like, all right, we recorded the rough copy, but then we have to go in, we have to mix, or we might have to go and pre post production or whatever, post production after the song is recorded. We might have to go and touch up some other stuff, or I go back and I'll listen to a song and be like, okay, I didn't like how I said that. I can say that better because I know I didn't know the song that good. So now that I've learned the song better, I need to go and clean this part up, or I hear something, I want to add something else. So it's like there's always, like I said, there's always room for expansion. But I typically go to the studio with my songs ready to record. I don't typically write in the studio. Well, like other settings, depending on it's really based on time for real. Because I will go and write if we had like an open session.
Yeah. When you beat making, what's like the first step to like really get going?
So production is like, how am I feeling? Because that's the best way to channel the energy. It's like, what energy am I in? How I feel? Am I like hype? Am I laid back? Do I want to go on the party? I want to take them to the streets. So I want to do something soulful. So this it's always like about how I feel because that's going to present the best. That's what I'm gonna create in the energy the best. It's not gonna be forced. So and then it's like, do I want to sample, or do I want to make something from scratch original? So a lot of people really like my sample based production. I really like it too. So and it's not to say it's easy, but it's it gets the creativity flowing a lot of times a lot quicker than sitting there like with a blank canvas, like, okay, I gotta build a build a first melody, and then I gotta build something on top, or you want to start drums first. Like I'm typically a melody first producer if I am building melodies versus like drums first. But yeah, that's typically how the process goes. I actually just got a record player, and I've been shopping for records and shit. So I've been really getting excited to start sampling from records again, crate digging and sampling for records. So that's what that's what people need to be on the lookout for, is some really original or creative samples, versus like just snatching what's in the sample packs.
Putting out very positive messages. What would you say like would be like your like inspirations?
Putting out positive messages.
No, I'm just saying like, because from the Black Girl song, I feel like it was a very positive song. But I would just say more so as an artist of Thermo Flame, like what inspires you, or who inspires you?
So I was a big fan of DMX for real. And that was really just like his rawness, his originality, transparency. And it was just like believable, great storyteller. Yeah, even the believable part is like you believe the shit like that he said, regardless of if you knew the shit was true or not. It was just like he had conviction. As far as like, I don't really say that I have like one artist is like inspiration wise as far as that goes. Like DMX, like I said, DMX was like my favorite rapper, but like I believe I was just a true student of hip hop. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I listen to everybody. I listen, even like currently, like nowadays, I listen to the new wave of rap and everything as well. You know what I'm saying? So I can learn from anything that I hear. I can I feel like we all emulate what we hear, our favorites. So and then we kind of create our own style, based off of that. So you always might hear influence, but it's really I've just embodied it, and it just sometimes may get channeled. You know what I'm saying? But that's how I look at it as far as inspiration goes. You know, I feel like hip hop is always kind of feeding itself. You know, in that. So like you may hear something and get a certain feeling that you may get a feeling of when you listen to another record. You know,
Yeah.
it may not be relatable in the sense of like the content, but the feeling might be the same. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I feel about with music as far as creation goes.
That's dope. So that joint had some Prodigy. Shouts outs to Flows at Hash Bash. Took some hardware home. We're gonna talk about that soon. But what was your thoughts on that joint I just wrote?
It was definitely gas. I mean, I know you put some of that rosin in there too, though. So
I sure did. I put some
it was,
of the
sure.
Moroccan peaches from Exotic Matter. Shouts out gang over there. Big fan of the terps on this. I smell it and I taste it at the same time. But yeah, threw some of the Prodigy and then a little worm in that motherfucker. So
Yeah, it was definitely smoking though.
now we was talking about it earlier, but the term greening out, I don't use it too much, but I definitely hear it. I'm like the minority in that vocabulary usage. But tell me about the time you browned out off the edibles.
All right, so like I was at a family function or whatever, and I had to go to work. So, my good family friend slid me a pack of edibles. Now, it was like a pack of like 100,
Okay. Yeah.
piece edibles.
So it was a 400 edible, 400 milligram edible, but the
Yeah.
pieces were 100.
Pieces were all 100. You
Okay.
know? But it was summertime, so it all had melted together. And I didn't know how much was in there when he gave it to me. I just was like, thank you. Took it. On my way to work, I'm eating it. I'm walking to work. Work was walking distance, so I'm walking to work. I'm eating this edible. I'm not thinking anything of it. Get to work. About 15 minutes. I feel like I feel like I was melting. like my arms was heavy, my legs was heavy. I couldn't hold my head up.
That's tough.
I'm a cook, so I was in the kitchen. I'm like leaning on the line. I'm supposed to be making orders, making food. I'm just leaning on the line, doing my best to not pass out, because I felt like I was gonna pass out, bro. And then my coworker was like, "Bro, what's wrong with you, man?" He from Alabama. So he like, "Nate, man, what's wrong, man? You all right? Man, get up, man. What you doing, man? You got to make the orders. You got to make the food." He was mad. He was pissed off, bro. So it probably took about 15, 20 minutes to wear off. Like, to where I could be functional again. I was still high as fuck.
So if you a real stoner, we all got a story like that.
But yeah, it was bad because I was just at work. And I ain't never experienced feeling like that before off weed.
Right. So
It's terrible.
What are your favorite strains of weed to smoke?
My favorite strains, you know what? The mic drop that you got from me.
Yep.
I got that from a homie of mine. He was actually on the show. Happy Treats. Shout out my dog. Happy Treats. That's his people, you know. That's one of their strains or whatever. That shit smoking. But like one of my favorite strains for real. I like I like peanut butter breath, bro. Like a real good peanut butter breath. Yeah. Wasn't a huge fan of runts for real. But the blue runts is smoking too. I ain't gonna lie.
That's all right, because you got a gram of the super booth here.
Oh yeah, the super booth that zooted. What's that? Zooted in.
Rooted and zooted.
Rooted and zooted.
Shouts outs to gang over there. Manders, Amanda, super nice. I saw them at the they was at the sneaker ball. They had a little like a dab lounge, so that was super cool. I fuck with them heavily.
And I always love gelato, bro. So
Gelato, nice.
always.
You know, dog pull up with a emotional support box. Besides the weed, what you got in there?
I'm glad you asked. So the shirt I got on, my bad. The mic on. I got that. Fuck your feelings.
What I do to you?
So, nah, man. So this was, you know, a concept, if you will, that I came up with, you know, some years ago. Just was like the idea is like, yes, we have feelings, and yes, we need to use them, but not allow them to be the driving force behind our interactions. You know what I'm saying? So, like, learning how to use our emotions to know, you know, how we feel about things, how we feel about ourselves, where we are in our hidden hearts, but not using them to project onto others. You know what I'm saying? So that's the whole idea behind fuck your feelings, and allowing people to also, you know, at the same time, allowing people to reflect on their reactions, interactions, responses, you know, due to their emotional states as well, you know, because a lot of times if you do just react out of those impulses, it's not going to be the way you would if you know, took the time to take a little bit of logic and think it out, you know, shelf your emotions, you know, and actually say, okay, what's really the best thing to do? Is it really the, you know, best to impulsively snap and act? No, it's probably best to respond, think about it, you know. Yeah.
Right.
But in the box is what size you wear?
Large. God damn it. If I see you with a large and you wearing one of these shirts, you might have a bad day because I need one of them.
That's crazy.
PSA.
I promise you that. White or black?
Black. Yeah. I'm playing.
Black.
Yeah. So we can appreciate you, gang. So you ain't gonna be mad if we show up wearing the same thing, are you?
No,
Okay.
I would love it.
Fuck your feelings. Cause that's generally how I care about a lot of y'all. To the maximum extent. at the end of the day.
Yeah. It's like, people allowed to feel how they supposed to.
Mm-hmm. It's like they're allowed to feel how they supposed to, and it's valid, but don't let it be the driving force of your actions and decision making when you're dealing with people.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. I feel that. And like, at what point in your journey did you learn that though?
Probably like 2 to 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like really slowing down and really processing, my emotions.
Was it like was it an event or like a person, like a experience that was like, you know what? Let me move a little bit differently.
I mean, really just like, myself, like how, what type of person do I want to be? Do I want to be somebody that's, calm and responsive? Do I want to be someone that's like explosive and reactive?
Yeah. Damn, that shit hit me different. I was about to projectile peep. It's crazy. So, one of the last questions I want to ask, like one of the things I admire, like the individualism. So like, how would you describe your style?
How would I describe my style? I guess Thermo flame. I don't know. Like I just like what I like.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely colorful.
Mm-hmm.
Like definitely like I feel like I'll always be like a hip hop kid. It's kind of weird, growing up, being born when I was born, and growing up, with hip hop being like what the culture was, that I was born into, and now it being, pretty much, this shit runs the world. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, yeah, I feel like, I don't know, hip hop, yeah. No matter how old I am.
For sure. Any closing remarks, shout outs, last things wanna get off?
Shout out to my fiance. She on the set.
Prettiest hands in this bitch.
Shout out to my dog Pico. Been putting in a lot of work with my dog. Got a lot of features. We have that's out right now. Go stream that Pico Stacks featuring myself. Shout out to my dog Mike Todd. Shout out to Happy Treats, my dog Chris. And then shout out to my dog right here. Made this all possible.
Appreciate that, gang. Thank y'all for tuning in to another episode of the Owner's Manual. Tune in for the next one. Subscribe on YouTube at Silk Suede. Follow me on social media at Silk Suede. And we're going to catch y'all on the next one. Peace.